Hello. What am I talking about today? Hand jumper. Um, well, if you haven't watched these videos before, I am going to give you a rating off the bat, and then I'll go into why I gave it that rating. I'll try to make the rating relatively objective, but then give my own little personal opinions as we go throughout the video. Uh, yeah, for this, I mean, I don't know, if I'm trying to be fair, I'd give it an 8. It's pretty good. Not bad. I mean, I think, it's well written and everything. I will say, now this is kind of getting into my personal opinions, but like, I don't know if I'm just jaded or what, but I just, it didn't grip me that much. I want to really stress this. This is an objective rating. Like, this is a rating that I think would be fair, but like, it really just didn't. It didn't grip me. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Like, I don't want to lie about anything. Like, it was, like, it wasn't bad, but it just, I don't know. I don't know if I've just seen this, like, superhero-esque thing a lot, or like all these superpowers or whatever, but it's just, I don't know. It wasn't that interesting to me. Like, I think on an objective scale, like, it is pretty good. Like, it's well written and all those things are there, but I feel like I've seen every single piece before, and I don't know. It just didn't grip me. But I think most people would probably like this. That's why I'm saying an 8. If I'm giving you my personal rating, it's probably like a 6 or a 7, just because I just didn't really grip me. I don't know. I don't know why necessarily. I have my ideas, but yeah. I think with any of these like superhero ones, the first thing I want to talk about would just be like powers. Um, this okay. I I don't want to like spoil anything if you don't want to know, but I'll just say this. The powers are so eh. Like, they're all like nothing, dude. Like, I swear to God, like, they're all just, who cares? Like, I don't know. Reversing time or super strength or whatever. It's like, who cares? And I read, Jesus, I don't even know. Probably, I mean, if I had to guess, somewhere in the ballpark of like 70 chapters worth of the story. I forget what webtoons use as, their version of chapters or whatever, but it was like that many sections, and it just, there was nothing fun with the powers. I mean, I think the characters that use them, like this character, the main character, I like, and I think the story that they're going with is actually pretty good. Her being a little bit mentally screwy, to say it nicely. Um, but the powers themselves are so bland. Like, again, like I said, like time travel and stuff, like that's boring, frankly. Super strength is boring. Like telekinesis, really. And then like some of them I feel like aren't even really that descript. It's just like an ability for the sake of having an ability. I don't know. It's just eh. Um, I just find the powers really boring. Um, and even like the use, I don't really think save them. Like I don't see that many characters doing anything interesting. It's just like physical enhancements or something. So I think that's like one of the biggest reasons, probably, I'm guessing, as to why it just didn't grip me that much. I feel like if you're going to do one of these series, I'd much rather something, weird, right? Just anything. Even Hero Killer, which I think also had some boring abilities at times, still added some interesting ones. Like, there was a guy that was made out of mercury, for example. Like, that's interesting. I haven't seen that. you know, and it's, don't get me wrong, that one still had its bland ones, but I think there were so many abilities that they were bound to get a couple unique ones in. Whereas this one, I feel like they don't really show that many abilities. It's just like super strength and things like that. Like it's okay, whatever. Um, like I said though, I mean the personalities are decent enough. Like again, I like the main character. She's kind of meant to be a little, you know, like she wants to go, you know, in one direction, but like her nature is the opposite direction. And it's kind of fun to see her come to grips with that. I like that. So I think the main character is actually pretty fun. And you know, but at the same time, it is kind of like that trope of like the heroes are the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys and blah blah blah. And there's also like a secret power that's being, you know, brought up, and the main character just so happens to have all these abilities, and it's like, okay. Um, but I like the main character. I think they're pretty good. I also think this character is kind of entertaining. I don't know why. I mean, they're just, you know, I feel like it's just a very, like, real kind of situation. Like, I feel like a lot of these stories don't necessarily write characters to be that realistic, but I feel as though this character's pretty spot on to what I would imagine someone in their position would be like. I think at times maybe they're a little too aloof, you know, they're off here in this direction just doing whatever. But I think they're relatively likable. As far as, you know, other characters, this guy's boring. I don't want to burst your bubble if you're some fan of this series, but this guy is not in any department unique at all. And I really don't want to be mean or anything, but he's just not. And if you haven't read a lot of stories, this might be your first interaction with this type of character, but he's not unique at all. As a matter of fact, I would say it's almost boring. And their design is just whatever. Who cares? Not that the series has like a ton of super standout designs to me or anything, but there's some. Like, I think this girl, you know, it's not unique, but her backstory that's all like, you know, screwy and tangled up and messed up, I think actually makes her a character I kind of like. Before the backstory, she was like, you know, real bad. After the backstory, she was pretty good. I like her. Again, I don't want to get into spoilers in this video and everything, you know, you'll have to read it, but I would say her backstory is one of the more like serious one at times that I kind of enjoy, and it kind of sheds light on the world and give, you know, it's a lot of world building. Therefore, I think she's one of the noteworthy characters in comparison to some of the other ones. And then I think the only other character I really care to talk about would be this one. She's super unlikable, and this is a thing that webtoons do a lot. Something that comes to mind would be Tower of God with Rachel, where they introduce a character that sucks and is like a terrible person, and but they don't get a lot of recompense early enough, right? Here's my thing. Let's say you have a revenge story. If you're starting, you know, you have chapter 1 and you want to end at chapter 100, right? Throughout this time frame, there needs to be little moments of revenge. Okay? Because if there's not little moments of revenge, it just takes you out of the story and you feel like, why am I reading this? Like, I'm not getting any satisfaction out of this. And I feel like, you know, 70-something chapters, I haven't seen this person, you know, get any recompense, and they seem to be a pretty awful person. It's kind of a telltale sign of a, you know, a little bit of an annoying story that's just trying to make itself longer to be longer. But whatever. You know, I feel like a lot of those are kind of nitpicky. There's other characters like this girl's sister, but she's she just doesn't really do much. I mean, they have tidbits of her personality, like a caring sister that, you know, doesn't necessarily show it all the time. But it's like, who cares? It's just not that unique. It's not that gripping to me. Um, yeah, but that's just like a little rundown of some of the characters where I think, you know, they stand in my mind. As far as like the story goes, I mean, it's again, I don't know, it's not really that unique. It's just like her trying to be, you know, basically like a government agent, I guess you could call them. Not necessarily that she wants to be, but that she has to be in that situation, so she's trying her best. And then, you know, her doing that, her kind of noticing some of the darker sides of her personality. Her sister's a criminal, and it's kind of like, you know, in her head she doesn't think she's similar to her sister, but she's starting to find out that maybe she is, and you know, it's a relatively interesting story. I enjoy it for the most part. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the only things. I guess I'll just quickly do the old SAE. What is the SAE? Well, it's story, art, and enjoyment. Story-wise, you know, I think it's well written, and I think some of the ideas are interesting. I'm just jaded, and I've seen them before, but if I was being objective, I would give it an 8. Art-wise, here's the deal. I think it could be a 7 or it could be an 8 depending on your sensibilities. In my opinion, it's probably a 7 because I don't necessarily like the whole webtoon style of having, you know, like all these like, particle effects and flashy elements and things like that on the screen at all times. It's just a common thing in webtoons. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't. I think if you don't mind that kind of stuff, it's probably like an 8. It's pretty good. It's just that I don't like. As far as enjoyment, I mean, me personally, like I said, like 6 or a 7. It just wasn't that fun for me. I've seen it before, and I'll see it again probably, and it's just, I don't know why this one just really didn't grip me. I don't know. I think overall rating, we're probably looking at, again, somewhere between like a 7 and an 8. It's fine. Like, I don't have any issues with it. It's just not, I don't know, it just didn't really like stand out to me. And I know like a lot of those webtoons, people love them and they're very much diehards, but there's elements that are really common in webtoons that I just don't particularly like, and I don't think the story did anything that really stood out to me. Just how it is sometimes. But that's about it. I'd appreciate if you could like, comment, subscribe, you know, leave a comment, let me know about, you know, some other story you want me to talk about. I don't care if I've read it before, I'll read it again, why not? And, yeah, I'll see ya.